What would you do if everyone thought you were nothing? What would you do if you had a gift that could change everything but you buried it for 15 years because the pain of remembering was too much to bear? This is the story of a man who answered both of those questions in a single moment. It is a Friday night in Philadelphia. The recital hall at one of the most prestigious music schools in America is nearly empty. On the stage sits a grand piano worth $250,000. And standing in front of it is a man in a janitor's uniform, his hands rough from years of cleaning floors, his face tired from years of being invisible. 6 students sit on the edge of the stage. Their phones are raised. They are laughing. They think they are about to witness something funny, something they can post online and laugh about for weeks. They think they know what is about to happen. They are wrong. The man sits down at the piano bench. The room goes silent. He closes his eyes. He places his hands on the keys. His fingers hover there for just a moment, trembling slightly. Not from fear, not from nervousness, but from something else entirely, something that has been locked away for so long that it feels almost dangerous to let it out. The students watch. They wait. One of them whispers something and another laughs. They think this is a joke. But before we hear what happens next, before we see the moment that will change everything you need to know who this man really is, because what happens in the next 14 minutes will leave an entire room speechless. It will send a video viral to 50 million people in less than a week. And it will prove that some things, no matter how deeply you bury them, can never be truly lost. This story begins 8 hours earlier. There is a music school in Philadelphia that only the best students in the country can get into. It is called the Conservatory. The building sits on a quiet street in the heart of the city, surrounded by old trees and iron gates. It was built over 100 years ago, and everything about it feels like history. The walls are brick and stone. The windows are tall and arched. The floors are made of dark wood that creaks when you walk on them. Inside, you can hear music at almost any hour. Violins and cellos, flutes and clarinets. And always somewhere in the building, the sound of a piano. Students here do not just study music. They live it. They breathe it. Some of them have been playing their instruments since they were 3 years old. Some of them have already performed in concert halls across the world. This is not a place for people who want to learn music as a hobby. This is a place for people who want to make music their entire life. In the center of the main recital hall, on a raised stage beneath a chandelier that has hung there since 1903, sits a Steinway Model D grand piano. It is 9 feet long. It weighs almost 1,000 pounds. Its keys are made of the finest ivory and ebony. It was purchased by the school 15 years ago for $250,000, and it is maintained by a specialist who flies in from New York twice a year just to tune it. When you press a key on this piano, the sound that comes out is pure and perfect. It is the kind of instrument that most musicians only dream of playing. But this story is not about the students who play that piano every day. This story is not about the teachers who have built their careers around music. This story is about the man who cleans that piano every single night. His name is Isaiah Bennett. He is 38 years old. He has been working as a janitor at the Conservatory for 8 years. And almost nobody at the school knows anything about him. If you asked the students about Isaiah, most of them would not even recognize his name. They might say, "Oh, the cleaning guy. Yeah, I think I've seen him around." But they could not tell you where he is from. They could not tell you what he does on his days off. They could not tell you that he lives alone in a one-bedroom apartment about 15 minutes from the school, or that he walks to work every evening because he does not own a car. To them, Isaiah is part of the background. He is like the paintings on the walls or the old trophies in the glass cases. He is there, but he is not really seen. The teachers are not much different. Some of them have worked at the conservatory for 20 or 30 years, and they pass Isaiah in the hallways almost every night. They nod at him. They say thank you when he holds the door open for them. But that is as far as it goes. No real conversations, no questions about his life, no curiosity about who he is or where he came from. Isaiah does not mind. He has gotten used to being invisible. In some ways, he prefers it. It is easier to be no one than to be someone people might ask questions about. It is easier to fade into the walls than to risk anyone finding out who you used to be. Every evening at 6 p.m., Isaiah arrives at the conservatory. He changes into his uniform in the small staff room near the back entrance. He fills his cleaning cart with supplies: mop bucket, spray bottles, rags, trash bags. Then he starts his rounds. He sweeps the practice rooms on the second floor. He empties the trash cans in the faculty offices. He wipes down the windows in the hallways until they shine. He works slowly and carefully, making sure everything is perfect. By 9 p.m., most of the students have gone home. By 10 p.m., the teachers have locked their offices and left for the night. By 11 p.m., the building is silent. And that is when Isaiah makes his way to the recital hall. He pushes open the heavy wooden doors and steps inside. The hall is dark except for a single light above the stage. The chairs are empty. The air smells faintly of wood polish and old paper. And there, in the center of the stage, is the piano. Isaiah walks slowly down the center aisle. His footsteps echo in the empty space. He climbs the stairs to the stage and stands next to the piano for a moment, just looking at it. Then he takes out his cleaning cloth and begins to wipe it down. He cleans the lid. He cleans the legs. He cleans the bench. And finally, he cleans the keys. This is the part of his job that takes the longest. Not because the keys are particularly dirty, but because Isaiah does it with so much care. He wipes each key individually, starting with the lowest note on the left and moving slowly to the highest note on the right. He makes sure there are no fingerprints, no dust, no smudges. When he is finished, the keys gleam under the stage light, white and black, perfect and untouched. And every single night when he is done, Isaiah stands there for a moment and just looks at the piano. His hands rest at his sides. His fingers twitch slightly like they want to reach out and touch the keys one more time, but he never does. He just stands there in the silence, and then he picks up his cart and leaves. Isaiah lives in a small apartment on the third floor of an old building near the edge of the city. The apartment is simple: a bed in one corner, a tiny kitchen with a stove that only half works, a bathroom with a shower that drips. There is one window that looks out at a brick wall. There are no pictures on the walls, no decorations, no signs that anyone really lives there. But there is one thing in that apartment that does not quite fit. In the corner of the main room, covered with an old bedsheet, is an electric keyboard. It is not fancy. It is just a basic model with 88 weighted keys. Isaiah bought it at a thrift store 10 years ago for $40. The sheet has been on it for so long that it has started to collect dust. Isaiah never touches it. He never even looks at it. But he has never been able to throw it away. During his shifts at the conservatory, Isaiah wears a pair of old headphones. They are black and worn with tape holding one of the ear cups together. He bought them at a gas station years ago, and they barely work anymore, but he keeps using them because they do what he needs them to do. He plugs them into his phone and listens to music while he cleans. Not pop music, not rock or hip-hop. He listens to classical music. Beethoven, Chopin, Rachmaninoff, Bach. Sometimes while he is mopping a hallway or wiping down a desk, he closes his eyes for just a second and lets the music fill his head. And in those moments, his face changes. The tiredness fades. The lines around his eyes soften. And if you were standing close enough, you might see something that looks almost like pain. But no one is ever standing close enough. No one is ever watching. At the conservatory, there is a group of students who are about to graduate. 6 of them. All seniors. All incredibly talented. All very aware of how talented they are. They have spent the last 4 years at Grayson studying with some of the best teachers in the country. They have won competitions. They have performed in recitals. They have already started receiving offers from orchestras and music programs around the world. And they have started to look down on anyone who is not at their level. The leader of the group is a young man named Dylan Carter. He is 22 years old, tall and confident with dark hair that he always keeps perfectly styled. His father is a well-known conductor who has worked with major symphony orchestras in New York and Los Angeles. Dylan has been surrounded by music his entire life. He started playing piano when he was 5. By the time he was 10, he was performing in front of audiences. By the time he was 16, he had already been accepted into Grayson with a full scholarship. Dylan is good. There is no question about that. But he is also arrogant. He walks through the halls of the conservatory like he owns the place. He talks loudly about his upcoming performances. He complains about how hard his life is, how stressful it is to practice for 5 hours a day, how exhausting it is to be expected to be perfect all the time. The other 5 students in his group are just like him. There is Rachel, a violinist who was featured in a national magazine when she was 17. There is Kevin, a cellist, whose parents are both professors at a prestigious university. There is Alyssa, a pianist who has already performed at Carnegie Hall. There is Jordan, a clarinetist, who has won every competition he has ever entered. And there is Emma, a soprano, who is being courted by opera companies across Europe. They are all talented. They are all accomplished. And they are all so focused on their own success that they never stop to think about the people around them who are not in the spotlight. Isaiah sees them almost every night. They are usually in the recital hall practicing on the grand piano or rehearsing for an upcoming performance. He knows their faces. He has watched them grow over the past 4 years. He has seen them become more skilled, but also more entitled. He has heard them complain about things that most people would consider blessings. He has listened to them talk about other students with disdain, mocking anyone who is not as good as they are. Isaiah never says anything to them. He just does his job and stays out of their way. But sometimes late at night when the building is empty, he thinks about what it would be like to sit down at that piano and play. Just once. Just to feel the keys under his fingers again. Just to hear the sound that he has not let himself make in 15 years. 1 week ago, something small happened. It was a Wednesday night. Isaiah was cleaning the stage after a student recital. The hall was empty. The only light came from a small lamp near the back of the room. Isaiah was wiping down the piano bench when his hand slipped. His fingers brushed against the keys. Just barely. Just enough to press down on one of them. A single note rang out into the silence. Isaiah froze. His heart pounded in his chest. The sound hung in the air for what felt like forever. It was just one note, a single simple sound, but it hit him like a wave crashing against rocks. Memories flooded into his mind, memories he had spent 15 years trying to bury. A small boy sitting at an upright piano in a tiny living room. A woman with kind eyes sitting beside him, turning the pages of his sheet music. Bright lights, applause, the feeling of his fingers flying across the keys, making music that felt like magic. And then something darker, something he had tried very hard to forget. Isaiah pulled his hand back like the keys had burned him. He stood there for a moment, breathing hard, staring at the piano like it was something dangerous. Then he picked up his cleaning cloth and went back to work, moving faster now, trying to push the memories back down where they belonged. But something had shifted. That one note had woken something inside him, something that had been sleeping for a very long time. He did not know it yet, but his life was about to change. And it would all start with a joke. Isaiah's days follow the same pattern. He wakes up at 4 p.m. in his small apartment. He makes instant coffee in a chipped mug. He eats something simple for breakfast. Cereal, toast, sometimes just crackers. Then he showers, gets dressed, and walks to the conservatory. The walk takes about 20 minutes. He likes it. It gives him time to think. Or more accurately, it gives him time to not think. To just move forward one step at a time the way he has been doing for 15 years. When he arrives at the conservatory, he changes into his uniform and begins his work. The routine is always the same. Practice rooms first. Faculty offices second. Hallways third. Bathrooms fourth. And finally, the recital hall. By the time he gets to the recital hall, it is usually past 10 p.m., and the building is quiet. Isaiah likes the quiet. It is the only time of day when he feels like he can breathe. As he works, he watches the students. Not in a strange way, just in the way that anyone who has been in the same place for 8 years starts to notice patterns. He sees which students are dedicated and which ones are just going through the motions. He sees which ones practice for hours, even when they think no one is watching, and which ones only show up when they have to. He sees which ones are kind to the support staff, and which ones walk past people like Isaiah as if they do not exist. The group of 6 seniors falls squarely into the second category. Isaiah has watched them for 4 years now, and he has seen them transform from nervous freshmen into confident, almost cocky young adults. They are good at what they do. There is no denying that. But they have also developed an attitude that makes Isaiah uncomfortable. They talk about other students behind their backs. They make fun of people who struggle. They act as if being talented gives them the right to look down on everyone else. Isaiah does not judge them. Not really. He knows what it is like to be young and talented and full of yourself. He remembers being that way once a long time ago. But watching them also reminds him of everything he has lost. And that is a reminder he tries very hard to avoid. On Friday evening, Isaiah arrives at the conservatory at his usual time. He goes through his usual routine. Practice rooms, offices, hallways, bathrooms. By 10:30 p.m., he is pushing his cleaning cart toward the recital hall. He expects it to be empty like it usually is at this hour. But tonight is different. When Isaiah pushes open the heavy wooden doors, he hears voices, laughter, music playing from a phone. He stops at the entrance and looks inside. The 6 seniors are there, sitting on the edge of the stage. Their legs dangle over the side. There are empty coffee cups and snack wrappers scattered around them. One of them is playing a pop song on his phone, and the sound echoes through the grand hall in a way that feels almost disrespectful. Isaiah recognizes all of them. Dylan, Rachel, Kevin, Alyssa, Jordan, Emma. They are celebrating something. Maybe a successful rehearsal. Maybe just the fact that they are about to graduate and move on to bigger stages. They are loud and careless in the way that people who have never had to worry about much tend to be. Isaiah considers turning around and coming back later. It would be easier, safer. But he has a schedule to keep, and the recital hall always takes the longest to clean. So he grabs his mop and walks inside, hoping they will ignore him like they always do. For a few minutes, they do. Isaiah works quietly in the back corner, wiping down the seats in the last few rows. The students keep talking and laughing, paying him no attention. He can hear bits of their conversation. They are talking about summer programs and auditions. They are talking about which orchestras they hope to join after graduation. Big dreams, bright futures. The kind of futures Isaiah once imagined for himself. He pushes the thought away and keeps mopping. Then he makes his way toward the stage. The grand piano sits in the center, gleaming under the dim lights. It is Isaiah's job to wipe it down every night to make sure the keys are clean and the surface is free of dust. He climbs the steps to the stage and walks toward it, cleaning cloth in hand. That is when Dylan notices him. "Hey, Dylan," calls out his voice, sharp and amused. "Look who it is, the cleaning guy." The others turn to look. Isaiah keeps his head down and continues toward the piano. He has learned over the years that the best way to deal with people like this is to stay quiet and keep moving. If you do not give them anything to work with, they usually get bored and move on. But Dylan is not in the mood to move on. "You know," Dylan says, standing up and walking closer, "I've always wondered something. You clean that piano every single night, right? You must have touched those keys 1,000 times." Isaiah does not respond. He reaches the piano and begins wiping down the lid with slow, careful movements. "So tell me." Dylan continues, a grin spreading across his face. "Do you even know how to play? Or do you just polish it and dream about being one of us?" His friends laugh. It is not a kind laugh. It is the kind of laugh that is meant to make someone feel small. Isaiah's hand pauses for just a second. Then he keeps wiping. "Come on." Dylan presses, stepping even closer. "I'm serious. Have you ever played a piano in your life? Even a little, like maybe Happy Birthday or something?" More laughter. Rachel pulls out her phone and points it at Isaiah. "This could be funny," she whispers to Jordan. Isaiah finishes wiping the lid. He moves to the keys, running his cloth gently over the white and black surface. His fingers brush against them lightly, and for just a moment his eyes seem to look somewhere far away. "Oh, come on," Dylan says louder now. "Don't be shy. Give us a little show. I bet you've got some secret talent, right? Maybe you're a hidden genius. A diamond in the rough." He says it with sarcasm, dripping from every word. His friends are all watching now. Phones raised, waiting for something they can laugh about later. Isaiah straightens up. He looks at Dylan for the first time. There is no anger in his eyes, no embarrassment, just a quiet kind of tiredness. The look of someone who has seen this sort of thing before and has stopped being surprised by it. "Go ahead," Dylan says, gesturing toward the bench. "Sit down. Play us something." "Unless you're scared," Kevin chimes in. "Yeah, give us a concert," Alyssa adds. "Just one song. What's the worst that could happen?" They all laugh again. The sound bounces off the walls of the empty hall. It is loud and hollow and cruel. Isaiah stands very still. He looks at the piano. Then he looks at the students. Then back at the piano. Something shifts in his face. It is small, barely noticeable. But if you had been paying close attention, you would have seen it. A flicker of something behind his eyes. Not anger. Not hurt. Something deeper. Something older. He sets his cleaning cloth down on the edge of the stage. The students go quiet for a second, surprised. They had expected him to walk away. They had expected him to mumble some excuse and go back to his mopping. That is what people like him do, right? That is the script they have written in their heads. But Isaiah does not walk away. Instead, he steps toward the bench. He pulls it out slowly, the legs scraping softly against the wooden stage. And then, without saying a word, he sits down. Dylan lets out a short laugh, but it sounds uncertain now. Wait, is he actually going to do it? This is gold, Rachel whispers, holding her phone steady. Keep recording. Isaiah places his hands on his lap. He looks down at the keys. 88 of them, stretching out in front of him like an old friend he has not spoken to in years. His fingers are rough from years of cleaning. There are small scars on his knuckles. His nails are short and worn. He takes a slow breath. The students watch, waiting for the punchline, waiting for him to fumble through something simple, something embarrassing. They are ready to laugh, ready to share the video with their friends, ready to make jokes about it for weeks. But Isaiah is not thinking about them anymore. He is thinking about a small house in Baltimore with an upright piano in the living room. He is thinking about a woman with kind eyes who used to sit beside him and turn the pages of his sheet music. He is thinking about bright lights and applause and a dream that was taken from him before he even had a chance to live it. He closes his eyes, and the room goes completely silent. For 3 long seconds, nothing happens. Isaiah sits at the piano with his eyes closed and his hands resting on his lap. The students watch from the edge of the stage, phones still raised, smirks still on their faces. Dylan leans over to Kevin and whispers, "I bet he doesn't even know where to put his fingers. They are so sure of themselves, so certain they know how this is going to end." In their minds, the story is already written. The cleaning man will poke at the keys like a child. He will play something clumsy and off-key. They will laugh, post the video, and forget about him by morning. But life does not always follow the script we write for it. Isaiah opens his eyes. He looks down at the keys in front of him. His rough, weathered hands slowly lift from his lap and move toward the keyboard. For a moment they hover there just an inch above the white and black surface. His fingers tremble slightly. Not from fear, not from nervousness, but from something else entirely. Something that has been locked away for a very long time. Then he begins to play. The first notes come out soft and slow. A gentle melody that floats up into the high ceiling of the recital hall. It is the opening of Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 2, one of the most beautiful and technically demanding pieces ever written for the instrument. The kind of piece that takes years of training to master. The kind of piece that only the best pianists in the world can play with any real skill. Dylan's smirk fades. His eyebrows pull together in confusion. "Wait," he mutters. "What is that?" Isaiah's fingers move across the keys with a grace that seems impossible for hands so worn and tired. The notes begin to build, layering on top of each other, filling the empty hall with sound. It is not the clumsy fumbling they had expected. It is not a joke. It is music. Real music. The kind that reaches into your chest and grabs hold of something deep inside. The melody grows stronger. Isaiah's body sways gently with the rhythm. His eyes are half closed. His face is completely calm. He is not thinking about the students anymore. He is not thinking about the mocking words or the phones or the years he has spent pushing a mop through these halls. He is somewhere else entirely. Somewhere far away from this room. He is back in the small house where he grew up. He can see the old upright piano that sat in the corner of the living room. He can smell the faint scent of his mother's perfume. He can hear her voice, soft and encouraging, telling him to try the passage one more time, telling him he was going to be something special one day. The music swells. Isaiah's fingers fly across the keys, hitting every note with perfect precision. The sound fills every corner of the hall, bouncing off the walls and the ceiling, and the tall windows that look out into the dark night. It is the kind of sound that makes you forget where you are. The kind of sound that makes time stop. Rachel lowers her phone without realizing it. Her mouth falls open slightly. She has been studying piano since she was 4 years old. She has practiced this exact piece before. She knows how difficult it is, and she can barely believe what she is hearing. This man, this janitor, who she has never given a second thought to, is playing it better than she ever could. Kevin is staring at Isaiah with wide eyes. His hands have stopped moving. He has forgotten about everything else. All he can do is listen. Alyssa feels her eyes begin to sting. She does not know why. She barely knows this man. But something about the music, something about the way it pours out of him, makes everything else in the world seem to disappear. Jordan has sat down on the floor, his knees pulled up to his chest, completely lost in the sound. Emma is crying. Actual tears are running down her face, and she does not even try to wipe them away. And Dylan, the one who started all of this, stands frozen in place. His phone hangs loosely in his hand, still recording, but he is no longer watching the screen. He is watching Isaiah. And for the first time in a very long time, he has nothing clever to say. The piece moves into its middle section, where the melody becomes more intense, more demanding. Isaiah's hands are a blur, now racing across the keyboard with a speed and accuracy that should not be possible. Sweat appears on his forehead. His breathing grows heavier, but he does not stop. He does not slow down. He plays like his life depends on it, because in a way it does. This is not just a performance. This is everything he has kept buried for 15 years. Every dream he has lost. Every night he has spent staring at that covered keyboard in his apartment, too afraid to touch it. Every time he has walked past a piano and felt that ache in his chest. That longing for something he thought was gone forever. It is all coming out now. Every note is a piece of his story. Every chord is a memory. And the students who had come here to laugh at him can do nothing but stand there and listen. The melody shifts again, becoming softer, more tender. It is like a storm that has finally passed, leaving behind something quiet and beautiful. Isaiah's body stops swaying. His face, which had been so focused and intense, begins to relax. The music is winding down now, moving toward its conclusion. He plays the final passage with a delicacy that makes the air in the room feel fragile.
Each note is placed perfectly like a jeweler setting stones. The sound is so pure, so clear, that it almost hurts to hear it. And then slowly, gently, he plays the last few notes. They ring out into the silence, soft and full of something that words could never describe. The final chord hangs in the air for what feels like forever, slowly fading into nothing. Isaiah's hands come to rest on his lap. He sits perfectly still, his eyes still half closed, his chest rising and falling with deep breaths. The final note disappears, and the hall is silent once again. No one moves. No one speaks. The recital hall, which had been filled with laughter and mocking just minutes ago, is now completely silent. The kind of silence that feels heavy. The kind of silence that comes after something important has happened. Dylan opens his mouth, then closes it again. He looks at his friends. They look back at him. For once, none of them know what to say. Rachel is the first to move.
She takes a small step forward, her phone completely forgotten now. Her voice comes out barely above a whisper. "Who are you?" Isaiah does not answer right away. He sits there for a long moment looking down at the keys. Then slowly, he stands up. He pushes the bench back into place with the same quiet care he uses when he cleans the piano every night. He picks up his cleaning cloth from the edge of the stage, and then, without saying a single word, he walks toward the door. "Wait," Dylan calls out. His voice is different now. The arrogance is gone. In its place is something that sounds almost like respect. "Please wait." But Isaiah does not stop. He pushes open the heavy wooden doors and disappears into the dark hallway, leaving behind nothing but the echo of what they have just witnessed. The students stand in the empty hall, looking at each other in stunned silence. Dylan looks down at his phone. The video is still recording. 14 minutes and 23 seconds of footage that will change everything. He does not know it yet, but by morning that video will be seen by thousands. By the next day, millions. And the man who has spent 8 years invisible will suddenly become impossible to ignore. Dylan does not sleep that night. He sits on the edge of his bed in his apartment near campus, watching the video over and over again. 14 minutes and 23 seconds. He must have played it at least 30 times before the sun comes up. Each time he watches it, he notices something new. The way Isaiah's fingers curved over the keys, the way his shoulders moved with the music, the way his face changed from tired and worn to something almost peaceful, the way the piece built and swelled and finally resolved into that last perfect chord. By 2 a.m., Dylan has made a decision. He is not going to delete the video. He is not going to keep it to himself and laugh about it with his friends. Something about what he witnessed feels bigger than that. Important. Real. He opens his phone and uploads the video to the internet. He keeps the caption simple. "The janitor at my music school just did this." He does not expect much. Maybe a few hundred views. Maybe some comments from people who think it is fake. He puts his phone down and tries to sleep. 3 hours later, his phone starts buzzing. Notifications. Dozens of them. Then hundreds. He picks up his phone and looks at the screen. The video has 50,000 views. By noon, it has crossed 1 million. By that evening, it is everywhere. News websites pick it up. Music blogs write about it. People share it on every platform imaginable. The comments section explodes with questions and reactions. Who is this man? Where did he learn to play like that? Is this real? It has to be fake. No way a janitor can play Rachmaninoff like that. I'm literally crying. This is the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. Someone find this man and give him a record deal. But it is real. And slowly, piece by piece, the truth begins to come out. It starts with a retired music teacher in Baltimore. She is scrolling through her phone on Saturday morning when she sees the video. Something about the man at the piano makes her stop. She watches it 3 times. Then she goes to her closet and pulls out an old box filled with photographs and newspaper clippings from decades ago. There, in a faded article from a local paper dated 2005, is a picture of a young boy sitting at a piano. He is maybe 11 or 12 years old, with big, curious eyes and hands that look too small to reach a full octave. The headline reads, "Local Prodigy Stuns Audience at Regional Competition." She looks at the boy in the photo. Then she looks at the man in the video. The eyes are the same. She makes some phone calls. She reaches out to old colleagues. She contacts people who used to work in the Baltimore music scene 20 years ago. And within 24 hours, the story of Isaiah Bennett begins to unfold. He was born in Baltimore in 1986. His mother, Ruth Bennett, was a piano teacher who gave lessons out of their small row house in East Baltimore. His father had left when Isaiah was just a baby, so it was always just the two of them. Ruth was not wealthy. She could barely afford to keep the lights on some months, but she had one thing that mattered more than money. She believed in her son. She started teaching Isaiah when he was 4 years old. By the time he was 6, he could play pieces that most teenagers struggled with. By the time he was 8, he was winning local competitions. By the time he was 12, people in the Baltimore music community were calling him a genius. The word spread. A famous teacher from New York came to Baltimore to hear Isaiah play. She offered to take him on as a student. Ruth worked 2 jobs to afford the lessons and the travel. She never complained. She never asked for anything in return. She just wanted her son to have the life she never had. When Isaiah was 17, he was accepted into the Juilliard School in New York City. Full scholarship. It was one of the most prestigious music schools in the world. Only the best of the best got in. Ruth cried when she read the acceptance letter. She told Isaiah that all those years of sacrifice had been worth it, that he was going to do something amazing. And he believed her. For 2 years, Isaiah studied with the best teachers in the world. He performed in concert halls that he had only ever dreamed of. He was on track to become one of the great pianists of his generation. Everyone said so. His future was bright. His path was clear. Then, one winter night in December of 2005, everything changed. Isaiah was 19 years old. He was home in Baltimore for winter break. He and his mother were driving back from a holiday concert at a church downtown. The roads were icy. It was late. The streets were mostly empty. A pickup truck coming from the other direction lost control. The driver was drunk. He crossed the center line at 60 miles per hour and slammed into their car head-on. The impact was sudden and violent. Metal twisted, glass shattered. The sound of the crash echoed through the empty street. And in an instant, everything Isaiah had ever known was gone. Ruth Bennett did not survive. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Isaiah woke up in a hospital 3 days later. He had broken ribs, a collapsed lung, and a severe concussion. But the worst damage was to his right hand. The impact had crushed it against the dashboard. The bones were shattered. The tendons were torn. The nerves were damaged beyond repair. He went through 4 surgeries over the next 6 months. Doctors did everything they could to save his hand to restore its function. Some of the feeling came back. Some of the movement returned. But the precision, the control, the speed that had once made him special, those things were gone. At least that is what the doctors told him. Isaiah tried to go back to Julia. He sat in a practice room one afternoon in the spring of 2006 and attempted to play a simple piece he had learned as a child. His fingers stumbled. His hand cramped. He could not get through the first page without stopping. He closed the piano lid and never went back. He dropped out of school in May. He moved out of the dorm and disappeared. He did not tell anyone where he was going. He did not keep in touch with his old teachers or classmates. He just wanted to vanish. And for 15 years, he did. He drifted. He took whatever jobs he could find. He washed dishes in restaurants. He stocked shelves in warehouses. He cleaned offices and bathrooms and hallways. He moved from city to city, never staying anywhere for too long. Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Richmond, Charlotte, Atlanta, Nashville. He ended up in Philadelphia almost by accident. He saw a job listing for a janitor position at a music school. Something about it pulled at him. Maybe it was the need to be close to music, even if he could not play it anymore. Maybe it was some part of him that was not ready to let go completely. He applied. He got the job. And for the last 8 years, he has been cleaning the floors at the Grayson Conservatory, invisible and silent, trying to forget who he used to be. Until one Friday night, when a group of students dared him to play. When the story comes out, the internet explodes. The comments that had been filled with jokes and disbelief change overnight. Now they are filled with something else. Sadness. Admiration. Respect. He lost everything and still played like that. This man has been cleaning floors for 8 years while being able to play better than anyone at that school. I am literally sobbing. Someone help this man. Please. The video keeps spreading. 30 million views. 40 million, 50 million. It becomes one of the most watched videos of the year. Reporters start showing up at the Grayson Conservatory. They want to interview Isaiah. They want to tell his story to the world. But when they ask where he is, no one can find him. He has not come to work since Friday night. His phone is disconnected. His apartment is empty. His landlord says he left in the middle of the night with a single bag and has not been back. For a few days, people wonder if he has vanished for good. If he has decided that he does not want the attention. That he just wants to go back to being invisible. But then, 5 days after the video is posted, something arrives at the Grayson Conservatory. A handwritten letter in a simple white envelope. It is addressed to Isaiah Bennett, care of the school's front office. The return address is from the dean of the conservatory himself, and what is written inside will change everything once again. Isaiah finds the letter on a Wednesday morning. He has been staying at a small motel about an hour outside Philadelphia. After that night at the conservatory, he packed a single bag and left his apartment without looking back. He did not know where he was going. He just knew he could not stay. The video is everywhere. His face is everywhere. And after 15 years of being invisible, he does not know how to handle being seen. For 5 days, he sits in that motel room and barely moves. He watches the ceiling. He listens to the cars passing on the highway outside. He thinks about his mother. He thinks about the boy he used to be. He thinks about all the years he has wasted convinced that the best part of his life was already behind him. On the 6th day, he finally turns on his phone. There are hundreds of messages, missed calls from numbers he does not recognize, emails from reporters and television producers, and people claiming to be old friends who want to reconnect. But one message stands out. It is from the front desk at the conservatory. They say a letter has arrived for him. They say it seems important. Isaiah almost ignores it, but something tells him not to. He drives back to Philadelphia that afternoon. He parks across the street from the conservatory and sits in his borrowed car for a long time watching the students come and go. Some of them are looking at their phones. Some of them are talking about the video. He can see it in the way they point at the building and whisper to each other. Finally, he gets out and walks to the front desk. The woman behind the counter recognizes him immediately. Her eyes go wide, and for a moment she does not know what to say. Then she reaches under the desk and pulls out a white envelope. "This came for you," she says softly, "from the dean." Isaiah takes the envelope and walks back outside. He sits on a bench near the entrance, the same bench where he used to eat his lunch during breaks. His hands are shaking as he opens it. The letter inside is handwritten. The handwriting is neat and careful. It reads, "Dear Isaiah, I have been the dean of this school for 28 years. In that time, I have heard thousands of students play. I have watched careers begin and end. I have seen talent in every shape and form, but I have never heard anything like what I heard in that video. I do not know your full story. I do not know what brought you to this school or what kept you here all these years. But I do know this: whatever you lost, it is not gone. It was never gone. It was just waiting. I would like to offer you a full scholarship to complete your degree at the Grayson Conservatory. I would also like to offer you a position as a teaching assistant so that you may share your gift with the next generation of musicians. You do not have to answer right away. Take all the time you need. But please know that this school would be honored to have you, not as a janitor, but as one of us. The door is open whenever you are ready to walk through it. Sincerely, Dr. Margaret Hale, Dean Grayson Conservatory." Isaiah reads the letter 3 times. Then he folds it carefully and holds it against his chest. For the first time in 15 years, he cries. Not quiet tears, not the kind you can hide, but deep shaking sobs that come from somewhere so far down inside him that he did not even know it was there. He cries for his mother. He cries for the boy he used to be. He cries for all the years he spent believing that his life was over. And he cries because for the first time in a very long time, he feels something that he thought he had lost forever. Hope. 2 weeks later, Isaiah walks through the front doors of the Grayson Conservatory. But this time, he is not carrying a mop. He is carrying a folder full of sheet music and a small bag with his belongings. He wears a simple button-down shirt and clean shoes. His hair is neatly combed. His eyes, for the first time in years, look alive. The students in the hallway stop and stare. Some of them whisper. Some of them smile. A few of them even start to clap. Isaiah nods politely, but does not stop walking. He has somewhere to be. Dean Hale meets him at the door of her office. She is an older woman with silver hair and kind eyes. She shakes Isaiah's hand firmly and says, "Welcome home." They talk for over an hour. Dean Hale explains the program, the classes, the expectations. She tells him that it will not be easy, that some people might doubt him, that there will be challenges ahead. But she also tells him that she believes in him, that the school believes in him, and that is enough. Isaiah's first class is the following Monday. It is a small group of freshman students, all nervous and eager. They sit in rows of chairs facing a grand piano at the front of the room. When Isaiah walks in, they fall silent. He stands in front of them for a moment, looking at their young faces. He remembers being their age. He remembers the dreams he had carried, the hopes that had filled his heart. He remembers thinking that he had his whole life ahead of him. And then he remembers learning the hard way that life does not always go the way you plan. He sits down at the piano. The students watch, barely breathing. He places his hands on the keys. The same hands that doctors had once said would never play again. He closes his eyes for just a second. Then he begins to speak. "I am not here to teach you how to play perfectly," he says, his voice calm and steady. "There are plenty of teachers who can do that. I am here to teach you something else." He plays a few soft notes, a simple melody, nothing complicated, just something gentle and true. "I am here to teach you that talent does not disappear," he continues. "It does not leave you. No matter how long you ignore it, no matter how many years you spend afraid it waits, it stays inside you, quiet and patient, until the moment you are brave enough to let it breathe again." The students listen. Some of them have tears in their eyes. Some of them do not fully understand yet. But they will. In time, they will. Isaiah plays a little more, letting the music fill the room. It is not a performance. It is a conversation, a way of saying things that words could never capture. When he finishes, the room is silent. Then slowly one student starts to clap, then another, then another. Soon the whole room is filled with applause. Not the polite, automatic kind, the real kind, the kind that comes from the heart. Isaiah smiles. It is a small smile, but it is real. After class, Isaiah walks through the halls of the conservatory. The same halls he has mopped for 8 years. The same floors he has cleaned night after night. But everything feels different now. The paintings on the walls seem brighter. The sound of students practicing seems more beautiful. Even the air feels lighter. He passes by the main recital hall and stops at the door. Inside, the grand piano sits on the stage, gleaming under the lights. He stands there for a long moment, just looking at it. A young man walks up beside him. It is Dylan, the one who had dared him to play that night. "I owe you an apology," Dylan says quietly. "I was cruel. I had no right to speak to you the way I did." Isaiah looks at him. There is no anger in his eyes, no resentment, just understanding. "You gave me something that night," Isaiah says. "You gave me a reason to sit down at that piano again. I had been waiting for a reason for 15 years. Dylan does not know what to say, so he just nods. Isaiah smiles again. Then he turns and walks away, his footsteps echoing softly through the hall. Outside, the sun is setting over Philadelphia. The sky is painted in shades of orange and gold. Isaiah stands on the steps of the conservatory and takes a deep breath. He thinks about his mother. He thinks about the little boy who used to dream of playing on the biggest stages in the world. He thinks about all the years of silence, all the years of hiding, and then he thinks about tomorrow. The weeks that follow are not easy. Isaiah has to relearn things he thought he had forgotten. His hand still aches sometimes. His fingers still cramp after long practice sessions. There are moments when he sits at the piano and feels like giving up. But he does not. He works harder than he has ever worked in his life. He practices for hours every day. He studies music theory and composition. He attends classes with students half his age. And slowly, piece by piece, he begins to rebuild the life he thought he had lost. The students at the conservatory treat him differently now. Not with pity, but with respect. They ask him questions. They want to know his story. They want to learn from him. And Isaiah, who spent 8 years invisible, is learning how to be seen again. One evening, a few months after he started classes, Isaiah is sitting in the recital hall alone. He has just finished practicing for the day. The sun has gone down, and the building is quiet. He sits at the piano bench and looks out at the empty seats. He thinks about the night that changed everything. The night Dylan challenged him. The night he chose to sit down and play instead of walking away. He thinks about how easy it would have been to just keep cleaning, to stay invisible, to let the fear win. But he did not. And that choice, that single moment of courage, has given him everything back. Isaiah places his hands on the keys. He does not play anything complicated, just a simple melody. The kind of melody his mother used to teach him when he was 5 years old. Soft and gentle and full of love. And as he plays, he feels her presence beside him. Not in a ghostly way, not in a way that makes him sad, but in a way that feels warm and comforting, like she is proud of him, like she always knew he would find his way back. The final note rings out into the silence. Isaiah sits there for a moment, letting it fade. Then he stands up, picks up his bag, and walks toward the door. As he steps outside into the cool night air, he looks up at the stars. And for the first time in 15 years, he does not feel broken. He feels whole. Because sometimes the life you thought you lost is not really lost at all. It is just waiting for you to find the courage to reach for it again. Waiting for you to realize that talent does not die, that dreams do not disappear, and that no matter how far you fall, you can always find your way back home. This is the story of Isaiah Bennett, a janitor who became a student, a man who lost everything and found it again. A reminder that it is never too late, that you are never too broken, that there is always a way back. All you have to do is sit down at the piano and play.